Hello everyone and welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott. Hope everybody's doing well on this hot August Saturday afternoon. It got hot and humid. I'm glad I already got the grass cut. I wanted to chat today about a couple things. One, for those of you that have seen my puppy, he's doing well. We are still in the housebreaking process, and for those of you that have had a puppy, you know how exciting that can be. But he's doing well. Him and my dog are out in the backyard hanging out, and it's good that they get along well with one another. I've been watching a couple of YouTubes. I don't watch as many as I used to. But I want to let you know that I started prepping as a teenager, and that's going on 50 years ago. So I've been in this game, for a long time, and I've seen the various memes and threads and subjects, going about prepping. And as I've gotten older, and as I've been in the community, I keep seeing several different themes that go on, and I'm curious about them, and I have my own personal comments. And one of them is, where are you going? Now, for those in the prepper community, we talk about having X amount of guns, having so many thousands of rounds of bullets, having a year's supply of food, having adequate water, all this stuff. But when we get talking about things, what do we talk about? Bug out bags. Where are you going? That's what I want to know. Where are you going? You've got 3 tons of stuff in your house, and you've got a half-ton pickup truck. Where are you going? Why are you leaving all that stuff you've accumulated? Several content creators, content providers on YouTube, they talk about, you should be living in your bug out location. And if you're not, you need to get there. And I agree with that. And I agree with that on multiple points. One is, you've collected 3 tons of stuff for when the world goes to hell, and then the first thing you're talking about is leaving it. So that's number one. This is, home is where all your stuff is. And all the stuff that you've acquired, your food, your water, and all this, your bullets, all your other guns, and what good is 10,000 rounds if your plan is to bug out, and at the most you may be able to bring a couple hundred rounds with you? What good is having a year's supply of food when, again, if you're filling up your pickup truck, you're only going to be able to take maybe a couple hundred pounds with you, maybe, because you've got other stuff you have to bring. So, my first thought is you need to be in your bug out location. Find your little slice of heaven somewhere where it's fairly safe, because no place is completely safe. Even out in the middle of nowhere, there is still the opportunity. Now, like I said, I've been a prepper for close to 50 years, and I collect certain things, and I can tell you in the last 50 years, the prep stuff that I've used the most is my food storage. And I've used it a couple times. I've used it when we had power outages for more than a couple days, like a week or more. I've used it when I was unemployed. There were several times in my life where I was unemployed for about a month. and I was able to use my food supply to feed my family, my food storage. Well, I went out looking for a job, and what that allowed me to do is the food was already paid for, so we just had to make it, and therefore, when we dipped into our savings, it was for things like gasoline, the electric bill, paper for my resumes, things I could do to help me get another job. And because of that, I was not unemployed as long as I could have been if I not only didn't have food, but I didn't have any gasoline to go to job interviews. But I know some of you out there are in urban, suburban areas, and they are probably not optimal for long-term survival, whatever you want to call it. And I understand that. Okay, so what do? Well, you move. And say, oh, I can't move this. No, you move. Get someplace safe. Because really what you're telling me is that you are putting money ahead of you and your family's safety. Move. We're doing it. We're downsizing. We're moving further out. We're not in a bad spot here, but I feel I can be in a better spot where I'm going. And I'm moving. It's costing me a lot of money. But my family and I, we will be safer out there. At least we expect to be safer. So, 50 years, food storage was number one. Okay, number two, I've been a concealed carry CCW for probably over 25 years now. I've had a permit. I've carried concealed. I've been in bad neighborhoods. I've been in real bad neighborhoods. And in those 25 years, I pulled my pistol out twice. In 25 years. In 25 years, I pulled my pistol out twice. One was in a urban area and one was in a suburban/rural area, and both of those were because of animals. They were loose dogs that I could not tell if they were friend or foe. One looked like a pit bull mix. I wasn't taking a chance. So when the conversation immediately goes to things like guns and bullets and things, okay, how many times in the last 50 years did you have to shoot a zombie? How many times in the last 25 years did you have to shoot a zombie? How many times did you have to pull a gun on somebody? If you had to pull it more than I had to pull it, you're living in the wrong spot. My point is, I'm not saying that guns are not important as part of your survival plan. They should not be your priority. And I think that's a problem in today's world, in today's prepper world, is that we've made guns a priority, and they're not. Like I said, in the last 50 years of prepping, the most stuff I used was my food storage. Do I have guns? Yes, I do. Do I keep ammunition? Yes, I do. But is it a priority? No, I have other things. I've got when I get out to my new property, I've got a garden to start. I've got to consider if I want to have any livestock or chickens. I've got to make sure that my water supply is secure. Those are the things I'm concerned about. Am I concerned about practice shooting? Yes, I go and I shoot. And I practice. I keep my skills up. But am I running and gunning? Am I doing practical shooting confederations or IDPA, whatever it is, shooting? No, but I do enough, I think, sufficient for what I have encountered and what I plan to encounter. I mean, really what I've seen over the last 50 years is the prepper community has been commercialized. And there's a lot of, you will die if you don't have this. And we just so happen to have it on sale. And if you hurry and order before midnight tonight, you get this discount. I went to a life skills fair weekend several months ago, and it was great. I learned a lot of good things, a lot of homesteading skills, how to make soap, how to use herbs for medicine, how to make this stuff. I learned about groups, and I learned about community, and a lot of good things. But they had I think this was an old school where they hosted, because there's a lot of classrooms, and then what I think was the gym was all vendors, and people were selling books and all this other stuff. And, you know, do you really need it? And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, is, do you really need it? Yeah, my puppy wants to go in. He is a little obstinate. And so, you know, I get exasperated, you know, that we are not spending our time and money on the things that are important. Instead of buying that $3,000 assault rifle and all the associated accessories that go with it, put that money towards a down payment on some property where you think is safe. You know, get yourself in a safe place. Where I am moving, the community that I'm looking at, these aren't runner gunners types, but you know, they are hunters and farmers, and they take care of their property, they look after their livestock, they tend to their gardens, and you know, I feel safe out there. I feel community out there. I feel a bonding out there. The people that I've met so far, and the friendships we've made, or at least the acquaintances we made, have a lot of promise. But we're not talking about, you know, what's the best assault rifle. We're not talking about plate carriers and bullets and all this other stuff. What we're talking about is, you know, raising animals, having gardens, growing things, our water, you know, things that are really important for life. So, you know, going back to what I was saying, is that I think there's a lot of commercialization out there in the prepper community, that you have to buy things in order to survive. And I don't think that's true. You know, if we look at what people are putting in bug out bags today versus what people carried around in the 1800s, there's a huge difference. And don't get me wrong, you know, there is a time and there is a place for technology. In fact, I have a couple videos about keeping your cell phone alive, because I think it's a valuable tool whether you have cell service or not. It's just all the other things that you can get with it. But that's just one aspect of it, and almost everybody has a cell phone now anyhow, so I'm just saying, take a little extra time, keep it alive. But I know when I get out to my new place and I get everything put away, I'm going to go back through my gear again. I'm going to go back through my bug out bag, and I'm going to reduce it by a whole lot. Because number one, I really believe it's going to be a low probability that I'm going to need it. And I'm basing this on 50 years of watching the world go around, and I believe that if you're going to leave, if you're going to go somewhere, you're going to load up your car and go. And I don't think you're going to, you know, get in your, you know, put your 120-pound pack, which you've never carried before, that you're going to whip it on your shoulders and walk out into the national forest and never be seen or heard from again. I think that's a lot of fantasy. But I do believe we'll load up our cars and we'll go somewhere. And so one of the things I believe in that case is I never let my gas tank get below half. Whenever my tank gets on half, I'm looking for a gas station. I keep my car in good repair. I get services done. I get it checked. I rotate the tires. I replace the tires when they get worn. Not worn out, but worn. And so that being said, we need to look at those lines. Do you have a garden? What's your food production look like? What's your water look like? We always talk about water for the person, but what about washing? What about doing your dishes? What about cleaning your clothes? For those of you that are on a septic tank, what about flushing your toilet? That is probably the most sanitary thing that you can do to help keep yourself alive and free from disease, is having a place to put your poop. And if you have a septic tank, all you need is, depending on your toilet, somewhere between 1 gallon and 3 gallons of water, and it's gone. It's taken care of. And it's so much safer than trying to dig cat holes out in your backyard, because that will come back to bite you. It'll be a bug that bites you, but yeah. And so it won't be a bullet that kills you. It'll be some disease like cholera or typhus or wherever else is running rampant around there at this time. Also, too, we are looking at pandemics. We are looking at disease outbreaks. We look at Los Angeles. They're having disease outbreaks. Diseases that have been around in 30, 40, 50 years are coming back to places like San Francisco and Los Angeles. Ebola, or Ebola, however you want to pronounce it, is gaining a foothold in Africa. And then we sit here with our open borders, where people from Africa are getting through into our country and they're being released. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what might happen. Is now we have Ebola here in the United States, and it is a very contagious disease. What is one of the cures for Ebola? That's social quarantine. What's social quarantine? It means you go to your house, you lock the doors, you don't come out until somebody tells you to, and that may be 30, 60, or 90 days. That it'll be illegal to be caught in public. So think about your priorities. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't have a bug out bag. I'm not saying don't have an E&E bag, escape and evasion bag. I'm not saying don't have assault rifles if that's your penchant. What I am saying is put your priorities right. I think a lot of times what we talk about is we like guns and knives because they're easy. All it takes is money and you have one. But when you start talking about food storage and how to use that food storage and first aid and gardening, that takes work. That takes study, and it takes work. And there's a lot of people that just like to sit and watch YouTubes all day and talk about guns and knives. And really, when you talk about people that were operators, that are operators, very few of them are going out and getting high dollar knives. They get common knives made of common steels, and they take them out in the woods and they use them. If it cuts, it works. When I was a teenager, a buck knife was a great knife. It still is in my eyes, but back then it was a great knife. I carried a buck folding hunter, and I used the dickens out of it, both in the woods and out of the woods. I have one in my knife collection. Knives is a weakness of mine, and I carry it from time to time. It's a great knife. The steel is great. A lot of times it's the user. Super steels are not going to make you a better knife person. They're not going to make you a better knife sharpener. They're not going to make you a better knife maintainer. They're not going to make you a better knife user. That takes skill. So that's really my rant for today. Just trying to stay out of the sun, staying out of heat. It's gotten hot again. But I really want to talk about this. Where are you going? And my point to this is you need to think about where you're going. And it should be going home. There was on a YouTube channel that, well, what happened during 9/11? When the planes crashed into the World Trade Center towers. If you didn't bug out then, people said you probably won't bug out. Well, I remember what happened to me. I was at work, and when I saw that, they turned on the TV in one of the conference rooms. I saw that. I turned around to my boss, and I said, I'm going home, and I walked out the door, and I went home. We got the kids out of school. We all came home, and we watched this on TV. But we were home. We were together as a family with our stuff. And that's what you need to think about. If your plan is to bug out, then you may be perfectly qualified to do such a thing. But if you are, then don't worry about the other stuff. You're not going to take it with you. You need 500 rounds of ammunition. That's probably about the most you can carry. You need about 20 or 30 pounds of food, and you'll have about 60 pounds of gear. One rifle, one pistol. Actually, if I was bugging out, I probably wouldn't even bring a pistol. It's too much weight. So think about what you're doing. Think about where you're going. And someone says, "Oh, I'm going to pack up all my stuff. I'm going to pack up my 3 tons of stuff in my half-ton pickup truck, and I'm going." Okay, I'm going to come over to your house next Saturday, and we'll pack that 3 tons of stuff up, and let's see how much stuff you get in. Don't forget, it's you, your wife, your kids, your dog, your bullets, all the stuff you think you're going to bring. Let's see how much of that fits in that truck. So, all I'm saying is think. And really, the question still is, where are you going? And if you can answer that question, then you can build on from there. For me, where am I going? I'm going home. And that's where I plan to stay unless I am otherwise forced out of my home. And then I'll go somewhere else. And so that being said, there's probably a 90 to 97% chance that I will be able to stay where I am at my home with all my emergency prep stuff. So that should be translated in, for all you guys that are prepping, you should be spending 97% of your time, effort, and money into what you're most likely to do, which is stay home. And then you spend 3% of your time, effort, and money to make a contingency plan to go somewhere else. And I think today we kind of flip-flop that a little bit. And we do the easy stuff and the fun stuff and the stuff we can take pictures of and show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever forums you're on, YouTube's, whatever, and say, here, look what I got. But looking at a bucket of wheat, that's just not a lot of fun. Doesn't really look real sexy until you're hungry. So that's really all I got today. It's kind of a mini rant, but not really a rant. But I want you guys to think. Where are you going? And then plan accordingly. I know for me, like I said earlier, I'm going home with all of my stuff. And I'm going to stay there for as long as I can. So that's all I got. Everybody have a good weekend. Have a safe day. Be safe. Be secure. We'll see you.